Get out and make your own way, Dad shouted, throwing my diploma at me. If you're too good for the family business, then you're too good for this family. I stood in our living room, still wearing my graduation gown, while my parents and older brother Jack watched me with disdain. After 4 years at Harvard Business School, I just told them I wouldn't be joining Miller Construction, our family's struggling company. Sarah, Mom said, her voice cold, your father built this business from nothing. It's your legacy. A legacy of outdated practices and missed opportunities, I replied, picking up my diploma. The construction industry is changing. If you just listen to my ideas about sustainable building and tech integration. Enough. Dad roared. Jack understands tradition. Jack respects what we've built. He gestured to my Harvard degree. You think your fancy education makes you better than us. Jack smirked from his position by the fireplace. At 30, he'd been running Miller Construction's operations into the ground for 3 years. But he was the son, the heir, the one who understood the business. You have 1 hour, Dad continued. Pack your things and get out. See how well your modern ideas serve you in the real world. 8 years later, I stood in my private elevator, ascending to the top floor of the Pierce Tower, the most innovative green building in the city's skyline. My company, Pierce Innovations, had revolutionized sustainable construction, becoming the leading force in smart building technology. Miss Pierce, my assistant Michael's voice came through my earpiece. Your 9 a.m. is here. Also, the new tenants are arriving for orientation. I smiled, knowing exactly who those new tenants were. Miller Construction, now barely staying afloat, had been forced to downsize. They'd leased office space in my building, not knowing who owned it. Has the Miller family arrived? I asked, reaching the 60th floor. Yes. Your father seems displeased with the security protocols. Of course he was. The building's AI-driven security system, one of my company's innovations, was probably beyond anything he'd seen. Your brother is complaining about the renewable energy requirements in the lease, Michael added. I stepped out of the elevator into my penthouse office, its glass walls offering a panoramic view of the city. Below, I could see the Miller Construction sign being removed from their old building, a building I now own through a shell company. Send them up, I said, settling behind my desk. It's time for the orientation. 8 years of radio silence were about to end. 8 years of building an empire while they struggled to keep their outdated business alive. 8 years of waiting for this exact moment. I heard them before I saw them, Dad's gruff complaints about all this tech nonsense, Mom's passive-aggressive comments about modern architecture, Jack's loud phone conversation about how they didn't need all these fancy features. Then they walked in and time seemed to freeze. Dad stopped mid-sentence, his face draining of color. Mom's designer handbag slipped from her fingers. Jack's phone clattered to the floor. Welcome to Pierce Tower, I said calmly. I believe we have some catching up to do. The silence in my office was deafening. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the morning sun illuminated their shocked faces as they tried to process what they were seeing. Sarah, Mom whispered, as if saying my name might break whatever illusion she thought she was experiencing. Impossible, Jack muttered, scrambling to pick up his dropped phone. You can't. Dad took a step forward, his eyes darting around my office, taking in the industry awards, the magazine covers featuring my innovations, the digital displays showing Pierce Innovations' global projects. This is some kind of trick, he finally said, but his voice lacked conviction. I touched my desk surface, activating the holographic display. Around us, 3D models of my buildings materialized, sustainable skyscrapers, smart cities, revolutionary green technology. Everything they'd dismissed as impossible 8 years ago. No tricks, I replied, standing up. Just innovation. The same innovation you threw out with my diploma. Pierce Innovations, Mom read from the wall, realization dawning. You're the Pierce? The one revolutionizing sustainable construction. The very same. I pulled up their lease agreement on the main screen. Now about your tenancy in my building. Jack stepped forward, trying to reclaim some authority. Listen here, little sister Dash. No, you listen, I cut him off. Your company is 3 months from bankruptcy. Your methods are obsolete, your projects are failing, and your reputation in the industry is toxic. The only reason you got space in this building is because I allowed it. Dad's face reddened. We don't need your charity dash. Charity. I laughed, pulling up Miller Construction's financial records. This isn't charity, Dad. This is business. Your quarterly losses, your failed projects, your mounting debt, it's all here. Did you really think you could keep operating like it's 1980 forever? Mom sank into one of my office chairs, her carefully maintained facade cracking. But all those years, we thought. You thought I was struggling? I finished for her. That I'd come crawling back? While you were clinging to the past, I was building the future. I projected more images, their failed projects alongside my successful ones, their declining profits next to my company's soaring value. The Miller Construction sign came down this morning, I continued. Your old building belongs to me now. Just like this one. Just like half the modern buildings in this city. Jack's face had turned an interesting shade of pale. You bought our building? Through a subsidiary, yes. Along with most of your debt. I smiled. Consider it a daughter's dedication to preserving the family legacy, what's left of it. Why? Dad's voice was barely a whisper. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I raised an eyebrow. Like you told me about the company's problems when you kicked me out? Like you told your clients about your outdated practices? Like you told Jack about the real state of the business before making him CEO? The truth hung heavy in the air between us. 8 years of pride and prejudice crumbling in the face of undeniable success. Now, I said, pulling up a new document, let's discuss your future in my building. Here's how this works. I began sending the document to the wall screens. Pierce Innovations will acquire Miller Construction, what's left of it. You'll keep the Miller name on select projects, but everything changes. Methods, materials, technology, all of it. You can't just take our company, Jack protested weakly. Take it. I pulled up more financial data. I'm saving it. Your last 3 projects failed environmental standards. You've lost every major bid this year. Your workers are jumping ship to companies that actually understand modern construction. Mom leaned forward, her voice trembling. But what about us? The family. That's up to you. I walked around my desk, leaning against it. Dad can stay on as a consultant, if he's willing to learn new methods. Jack, you'll need to start from the ground up, actually learning the business instead of just inheriting a title. And if we refuse? Dad challenged, but the fight had left his eyes. Then Miller Construction declares bankruptcy next quarter. Your reputation becomes toxic, your debts come due, and you lose everything, including your house, which is mortgaged to the company. The silence that followed was broken only by the soft hum of my building's advanced systems. Systems they'd called unnecessary just minutes ago. 8 years, I continued. 8 years of watching you struggle, of seeing you reject innovation while the world moved forward. I built this company not just to succeed, but to be ready for this moment. You planned this? Jack asked, slumping in his chair. I planned to succeed, I corrected him. Your failure was your own choice. Mom wiped a tear, smudging her perfect makeup. All those charity galas, those industry events. You were there, weren't you? As Pierce. I was. You just never saw me. Too busy telling everyone how your son was carrying on the family legacy. Dad finally sat down, looking older than I'd ever seen him. The Harvard degree, your ideas about sustainable building, are now industry standard, I finished. Everything I tried to tell you 8 years ago has come true. The construction world changed, but Miller Construction didn't. I touched my desk again, bringing up images of my latest projects, buildings that seemed to touch the sky, cities that breathed with green technology, innovations that had made me a billionaire while they clung to their crumbling empire. So here's your choice, I said, sending contracts to their phones. Join Pierce Innovations. Learn. Adapt. Help make Miller Construction a subsidiary we can be proud of. Or walk away with nothing but your pride. And our relationship? Mom asked quietly. Can that be saved too? I looked out at the city skyline, my city, built with the very ideas they'd rejected. That depends on whether you can finally see me for who I am, not who you wanted me to be. One by one they signed the contracts. Dad's hand shook as he pressed his finger to the screen. Jack couldn't meet my eyes. Mom kept wiping tears. Welcome to Pierce Innovations, I said, standing up. Michael will show you to your new offices on the 40th floor, not the executive level. You'll need to earn that. As they filed out, Dad paused at the door. "We were wrong," he said softly. "About everything." "Yes, you were." I turned back to my desk. "Your orientation begins at noon. Don't be late, Pierce Innovations values punctuality." They left and I watched their reflections fade from my windows. Below, the city sparkled, a testament to what happens when you embrace the future instead of clinging to the past. 8 years ago they'd kicked me out, telling me to make my own way. Now they worked in my building, lived in my city, operated under my rules. Sometimes success isn't just about proving people wrong. It's about building something so right that they have no choice but to follow your lead. I touched my desk one last time, bringing up the new company logo, Pierce Miller Innovations. Not because they deserved it, but because I'd always known this day would come. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying the past, it's transforming it into something better. "Michael," I called, "schedule a family dinner for tonight. At my penthouse." It's time they saw exactly what their Harvard graduate built while they weren't watching. After all, success is the best revenge, but family, if they're willing to change, might just be worth a second chance. I extended an invitation to a family dinner that evening in my penthouse, occupying the top 3 floors of Pierce Tower. As they stepped out of the elevator, their gasps echoed through the marble foyer. The space was a testament to everything they dismissed: smart home technology, sustainable luxury, and innovative design. "This is where you live," Mom whispered, touching the living wall of plants that helped purify the air. "One of my homes," I replied, leading them to the dining room where the city glittered below through temperature-regulated windows. "I have others in London, Dubai, and Singapore. All in buildings I designed." "Those trips abroad," Jack realized, "when you were supposedly finding yourself." "I was building global partnerships," I confirmed. "While you were mocking my absence at family events, I was creating an international empire." The private chef, one of the city's most renowned, served dinner on a table made from reclaimed materials, another of my company's innovations. Each course showcased sustainable luxury, a concept they'd once ridiculed. "Tomorrow," I said as they struggled to process their new reality, "you'll begin training with our top teams. Dad, you'll work with our sustainability experts. Jack, you'll start in project management, entry level. Mom, if you want, there's a position in community relations. You'd still give us a chance?" Mom asked. "After how we treated you? I'm giving you what I never got, an opportunity to learn and grow. Whether you take it seriously is up to you." Dad looked around at the empire his daughter had built. We were so focused on preserving the past that we couldn't see the future right in front of us. "Well," I raised my glass, "welcome to that future. Let's see if you can keep up." The city lights twinkled below, reflecting off buildings I owned, shaped by innovations they'd once mocked. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in rejection or revenge, but in offering those who doubted you a chance to witness your success up close, and maybe, if they're willing to learn, a chance to be part of it. Tomorrow they would enter my world as employees. But tonight, they were family, humbled, changed, and finally ready to see the daughter they'd once thrown away had built something greater than they could have imagined. The future had arrived, and it lived in a penthouse they'd never dreamed possible.